Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of Mark Vlogs Watches, and with my new tagline I will say, welcome back watch people. At any rate, we got to talk about these glasses before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video. Guys, these are Maui Jims. These are vintage, expensive sunglasses. Okay, so they're a little large, maybe they look like Jackie O type glasses. Okay, at any rate, but I've been taking so much criticism in my last video about these glasses that I went out and just for you good people, I got these. And you know what? Honestly, looking at myself in the camera, I think they look a little bit better. So hey, you know what? Tell me in the comments if you like these glasses better. So let's move on to there. Okay, now, before we move into any further details regarding watches, horology, Rolex, authorized dealers, and everything else that may be on my mind and on yours, you know what we got to do, guys, don't you? We got to do it now. Here it comes. Quick fist watch check. And today, I'm wearing the Rolex Submariner in 148 glorious grams of 904L steel. You know, I noticed that Ball Watch is making a few watches now in 904L steel. So it looks like Rolex is no longer the only sole provider of 904. You know anybody else making watches out of 904L steel? I think the difference between 904L and 316 is it's a little harder, and it's a little more corrosion proof. To my eye, by the way, guys, seems to hold the polish a little bit better. The 904L does. But apparently it's a little harder to work with, and therefore you need more specialized tools and machinery. So I think that we should be prepared over time for more 904L steel watches to come out. However, I do love this Submariner, and quite frankly, it's very important to me to have a watch at all times with a fidget spinner. Now, I got to fix this and realign up the bezel, or it's just going to bother me. And I won't really even be able to focus. Okay. Guys, here's my thinking. Here's the topic of this video. The Rolex authorized dealer. And, you know, in discussion with most of my friends, it has turned out, I feel, that most of us have given up on the authorized dealer. I'm a bit of an exception in that way, which we'll talk about a little more in this video. But let me go back a couple of years. And actually, if you go back 5 years, which is 5-6 years ago, that's when I first discovered Archie Luxury. Take a look at him right now. Okay, some of you may think that Archie is a buffoon, a clown, a loser, and you wish he would not be on YouTube full-time. But frankly, mixed in with all the crazy and mixed in with all the hilarity and you know, some of the slightly pitiful stuff that he does had been an important message that I think had application 5-6 years ago, all the way up through maybe 2 years ago, a year ago. And Archie's message was, don't be a schmuck, don't buy retail, buy on the used market, because you can get good watches cheaper that way. And listen, for the longest time, he was right. But the big question is it still true? The authorized dealer still actually has now, but the question is he still right in the modern era? So one of the things to take into account is the fact that the supply of Rolex has shrunk, the prices on the secondary market have risen, and what that means is that the cheaper price is now available at the authorized dealer. What a turnaround that is. Used to be you had to go to the secondary market, gray market, private sale, pawn shops, used watch dealers, and so forth in order, or eBay, Chrono 54, Watch Recon. There's just all kinds of ways to buy used watches. But now we are turning not to those supplies in order to get a cheaper price on the Rolex. We are turning to them to get access to Rolex at a higher price than at the authorized dealer. Because if you go to the authorized dealer, you know, over the last 2 years, they barely have had any. Now, quite a long time ago, and I will happily assert that I was the very first guy to mention the fact that Rolex is going for Patek level exclusivity. Half the horology twice the price and twice the difficulty in gaining access. You heard it here first, guys. Now, one or two prominent YouTubers have taken that idea. Is it a case of great minds think alike, or do they watch this channel? Hey, I don't know, but I am flattered. I will tell you, though, I believe it truly with all my heart, and the supporting evidence for that is right in the Rolex Authorized Dealer. If you go back a couple of years ago, they had two big cases, one filled with Datejusts and one that was used to contain all the steel sports watches. And when you were facing those cases in the dealer, traditionally the steel sports would be on the left, all the dressy stuff, including the Datejusts and the Cellini, would be on the right, and those cases were of equal size. But then the shortage hit. You know, it wasn't a shortage of 904L steel, guys, because Ball's got some, but it was Rolex turning the screws, tightening up the spigot to drive the price up, and more importantly, the exclusivity up. That's where they're really headed, because they would like to compete with Patek. You heard it here first, people. But something happened, and when they reduced the supply for well over a year, maybe almost 2 years or so, that big case, that big piece of furniture in the Authorized Dealer that was supposed to hold sports watches was virtually empty. You'd occasionally see like a gold Daytona or a Yachtmaster in there, or, you know, a Yachtmaster on a on an Oyster Flex, you know, rubber. Also, you might see a gold Skydweller on a bracelet for like $52,000, and you know, those are really very, very hard to move due to the price range. Now, you would think that the Authorized Dealer would just have kind of moved some Datejusts and Cellinis over to kind of even out and the cases and not leave big blank spots or empty furniture in their store, but they're not allowed to do that. You wouldn't believe how tightly controlled the authorized distribution agreement is from Rolex to the AD. I mean, the AD has a ton of hoops that they have to jump through. I don't think it's easy. I have a lot of sympathy as a small businessman myself. I have a lot of sympathy for the Authorized Dealer. Now, you may think, oh, these are giant corporate guys with 20 locations, multi-million-dollar, publicly held companies. You know, one or two of them are. But traditionally, most of the Rolex Authorized Dealers have been small family-owned jewelry stores with 1, 2, 3 locations. Family members opening and closing those stores, locking everything up in the safe at night, worrying about robbery and insurance and personal safety and all stuff like that. So, I don't think it's the easiest business to be in. Definitely easier than a liquor store, okay, but still not so easy. And they weren't allowed to move Cellinis and Datejusts over into that big empty case. Just that wasn't permitted. However, about 8 months ago, Rolex informed all of them that they were to get rid of those large cases. They supplied them or told them where they could buy. I don't know quite how that worked. But they were instructed that they were to take those big empty steel sports cases, and they were to buy smaller ones. And they're the same at every AD, so my sense is that Rolex has some kind of approved supplier here, and the authorized distributor is just told where they will purchase this stuff. But so they shrunk those cases down, and they moved some Datejusts over. Again, no authorized distributor has told me this, but you see it everywhere. So I'm just using my intuition and my educated guesswork here to suggest to you that that's what Rolex told them to do, to change the case and to make it look not so empty is smaller, and then also to make it look even not so emptier, to go ahead and move some Datejusts over. Now, that being said, I have heard through a very reliable source that Rolex is opening the spigot just the littlest bit this summer, so that through fall of 2019, the authorized dealers will be better able to go ahead and fulfill their orders, and that should help them in the Christmas buying season. But you should not expect the market to be flooded with Rolexes and the prices to come down. What that means is that the best deal on Rolex steel sports, by and large, this is not 100%, but 80% of the time anyway, is going to be right at the authorized dealer. And the irony, of course, is that it's the authorized dealers are seeing a lot of people come in who they don't know, they've never seen before. Those people will come in, they'll ask for a Hulk, there won't be one naturally, and then they turn around and leave, and the AD never hears from that guy again. So what I want to briefly tell you is, I think it would be smart if you look to form a relationship with an authorized dealer. Now look, as we know, there are certain people who have so much money that they can go into the AD and they can buy $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 worth of high margin gold, diamond jewelry, for the wife, the mistress, the kids. And they can kind of like earn, or let's say not earn, but actually buy their way into the good graces of the authorized distributor. And that's one way that you can do it. So if you have the wherewithal to buy like $100,000 to $200,000 worth of goodies at the authorized dealer, and that could include a whole bunch of the really hottest of all Rolexes available, you've got no problem. But I can't do that, and I'm sure that you guys, the majority of us, can't do that. Let's just put it like that. So what do you do instead? Well, the other way to get the authorized dealer to keep you in mind, to legitimately put you on their list, to potentially sell you a steel sports watch, something that's decent, the real way to do that is to be polite, to form a relationship. And the way that you do that, in my estimation, is that you go in. You don't make a pest of yourself, okay? Coming in, sloppy dressed, talking loud, taking up time when those sales guys are all on commission, and the store managers, they've got like benchmark numbers that they have to meet. So I think that what you ought to do is go in there when it's slow. If you do a drive-by and the place is jamming and busy, I wouldn't even stop in. But what I would do is I would make it a point to stop into your local authorized dealer maybe every month or so. Look around, get to know staff, get to know your commissioned salesperson. Go at the same time so that you're not bothering multiple people. Remember, those guys want to sell watches. The store wants to sell watches, and particularly the salesperson, they're on commission primarily. So, go on in there, find out what their Starbucks is. Bring a donut now and again. I don't mean that you should be like obviously in a bribery kind of mood, but let me just say, being demanding, rude, or dismissive of the only people on earth who can help you is not like a smart thing. Forming friendships, relationships, becoming a known quantity to those people, that's a good thing. Here you're looking at my 50th anniversary Sea Dweller, which actually I tried to buy from an authorized dealer that decades ago I had purchased from before, but those guys would barely give me the time of day, very corporate. So I went into a family-owned authorized dealer, James & Sons in Orland Park. Rocky and Brian took terrific care of me. I don't know what they have in the way of inventory, but I know they'll at least be polite and take you seriously, especially if you mention my name. So, because listen, everybody wants to help somebody that they like. I'm sure that you have done this both in your personal and in your professional life. Everybody wants to help someone who they like. I'm a relatively frequent flyer, and it amazes me when I go into an airport and I see some passenger flipping out and screaming at like a gate agent who is the one person who can help them. Or a flight attendant who, if you push a flight attendant far enough, you wind up in zip ties. Guys, I think that trying to form relationship with authorized dealers is the smart thing that you can do, but there's like a way to do that, and there's a way to avoid. So don't go in there and ask just for a white steel Daytona. Scale it down a little bit. How about starting with a with a sub date, which is a little slightly less popular than the Submariner, which doesn't have a date? Or how about going in and asking for the either the Polar Explorer, or better yet, the Black Explorer, right? Because that's slightly less popular. In other words, start out a little gentle, a little slow. Get to know these people. If they offer you something good, take it. Okay? Maybe you're in the market for a sub, but they're offering you an Explorer. Honestly, I think that you should buy it, and I think you should be careful not to flip it anytime soon, but that puts you a step closer. I'm in the shadow, I'm in the light. Camera can't figure out what to do with me. Well, story of my life. Guys, I'm going to end it here, but all I'm saying is form a relationship. Now, before I let you go, if you've got a story about how an authorized dealer was good to you, please put it into the comments, because that's going to be inspirational for those people who can't seem to get the time of day out of an AD, but I would like especially to hear how you did it. My comments are filled with stories of people who just like bought the winning scratch-off lottery ticket and got sold something really good at MSRP without hardly any trouble. But a lot of you have taken the trouble to form relationships, and I'd like to know more about how you did that. Okay, look, if you have a terrible story to tell, don't name names, but you want to put it into the comments, that's fine. But I think the concept here of this video is a little bit more like how to teach and inspire the Mark Vlogs Watches community on how we can do better, how we can make a better relationship with our authorized dealer and buy some decent watches at MSRP. Please like this video. Tell me what you think in the comments. And hey, let's do this again soon. It's Goldberg. Peace out.